You are not alone. Living well with dementia. Margaret's morning. I'm still collecting moments. Margaret Haynes, 70. People assume when you have Alzheimer's you become a ghost of yourself. But look, I'm still here. Every morning, same ritual. Tea in this mug, curtains open, write one good thing. Today, I wrote, the robin looked cross. Yesterday it was, sky feels heavy. Are they profound? No, but they're mine. Her daughter, Emma, 48, sits beside her. I used to correct Mum constantly. No, that was Tuesday, not Wednesday. You already told me that story. I thought I was helping. I was actually erasing her. One day she looked at me and said, "Does it matter which day?" And I realized, it doesn't. Not to her, not really. Now I just share the moment. She tells the same story about teaching Keats. I listen like it's the first time, because for her, it is. Interviewer. Margaret, what does routine give you? Margaret. Safety. My brain feels like a library where someone keeps moving the books. But if I make tea the same way every day, my hands remember even when my mind wanders. The notebook helps too. I reread entries and think, did I write that? How lovely. It's like receiving letters from myself. Dear Elise Park, neurologist, Dr. Park. What Margaret describes is procedural memory, motor sequences stored in the basal ganglia and cerebellum. These remain relatively preserved even as the hippocampus, which handles new episodic memories, degenerates. The emotional weight of memories? That's the amygdala, which also shows resilience. This is why familiar rituals feel comforting. They bypass damaged pathways. Interviewer. The notebook. Is that clinically beneficial? Dr. Park. Absolutely. Writing engages multiple cognitive domains: motor planning, language processing, and emotional reflection. It's not about remembering what you wrote. It is about the act of writing itself. It strengthens remaining neural connections and reduces anxiety by creating external memory anchors. We call this cognitive scaffolding. Back to Margaret, writing in her notebook. Margaret. They say I'm losing my memory. Perhaps. But I'm still collecting moments. They're just not always in order. Sometimes I think that's how poetry works anyway. Fragments. Impressions. The feeling of the thing, not the fact of it. Emma. She taught me that. The feeling of the thing. That's what I hold on to now. The music knows who I am. Carlos Alvarez, 68, sits at a table, fingers drumming softly. Jazz plays in the background. Carlos. After the stroke, words left me. Not all, enough to be frustrating. I'd think water and say window. But rhythm? Taps complex pattern on table. Rhythm stayed. When I tap, I think clearer. My hands speak what my mouth cannot. His wife, Lucia, 66, sits beside him, holding his hand. Lucia. The neurologist said he had vascular dementia, blood flow problems from the stroke. I thought, he'll forget me. But when I play his boleros, old recording begins, he stands, takes my hand, and we dance exactly like we did in 1982. Same steps, same smile. He remembers in his body what his brain cannot name. Interviewer. Carlos, what does music do for you? Carlos. Drums while speaking. It organizes me. Before music, my thoughts are. Gestures, scattered movements. Everywhere. But with rhythm, movements become coordinated. Everything lines up. I can fold towels, stir soup, even speak better if there's a beat underneath. Dr. Park appears with brain scans. What Carlos experiences is procedural memory preservation. Musicians show remarkable retention of motor skills. Their practice has built robust neural pathways in the basal ganglia. Look at these fMRI scans during music exposure. Widespread activation across auditory, motor, and emotional networks. Rhythm increases dopamine. Melody releases oxytocin. It's neurochemical medicine. Interviewer. His therapist uses something called entrainment therapy? Dr. Park. Yes, synchronizing activities to rhythmic patterns. It's grounded in neuroscience. Rhythmic cues help coordinate motor planning and attention, compensating for damaged executive function regions. For someone like Carlos, setting daily tasks to rhythm transforms frustrating activities into manageable ones. The beat becomes the scaffold his brain can follow. Back to Carlos and Lucia dancing slowly in their living room. Carlos. People see dementia and think loss. But music? Pauses, searching for words. Music reminds me I am not what I forgot. When I play, I don't think of loss. I just listen. The music knows who I am. It tells me back to myself. Lucia. He's still in there, all of him. Just sometimes he needs a song to find his way out. Jenna's promise. It's about giving love and keeping some for yourself. Jenna Thompson, 44. Jenna. I promised Mum she'd never go into a home. I was so confident when I said it. Don't worry, Mum, I'll take care of you. I didn't realize how heavy a promise could become. My day starts before sunrise. Medications, breakfast, preventing her from leaving in her nightgown. Then I get my kids to school, work my shift, rush back, make dinner, answer the same question. When is Dad coming home? He died 3 years ago. Do I tell her again? Watch her grieve again? Or do I lie? What do you choose? Jenna. Depends on the day. Depends on my strength. Sometimes I tell the truth gently. Sometimes I say, he's at work, Mum. I used to feel like a terrible daughter for lying. Now I understand. I'm protecting her from pain she'll forget anyway. Is that wrong? I don't know. I stopped judging myself so harshly. She shows her support group notebook, full of notes. Jenna. This group saved my life. Every Thursday, 8 of us meet. We don't give advice. We just witness each other. Last week, Michael said he screamed at his wife for hiding his keys, then found them in his own pocket. We all nodded. We've all been there. The guilt, the anger, the love, the exhaustion, all crammed together. Dr. Park. Caregiver burnout is a medical crisis we don't discuss enough. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which literally shrinks the hippocampus, the memory center. Caregivers become at risk for depression, anxiety, even dementia themselves. Rest isn't selfish, it's neurologically essential. You cannot pour from an empty brain. What changed for you, Jenna? Jenna. I learned to reframe. Mum asks, what day is it? For the 15th time, I used to snap, I just told you. Now I realize she's not testing me. She's anchoring herself. So I answer gently, it's Tuesday, Mum. We're having soup tonight. And I ask her something. What was your favorite soup growing up? It shifts from correction to connection. Her mother appears briefly, hugging Jenna from behind. Jenna's mum. You're so good to me, sweetheart. I don't know what I'd do without you. Jenna. Some days I cry in the car before going inside. Other days we laugh about something silly. She called the remote control the clicker-clacker. Both are care. Both are love. I used to think caregiving meant giving everything. Now I know. It's about giving love and keeping a little for yourself. Otherwise, you have nothing left to give. Paul's laughter. If my brain's confused, I'll confuse it back with joy. Paul Ridley, 79, retired engineer, G. Paul. Knock knock. Interviewer. Who's there? Paul. I forget. Laughs heartily. See, the joke works because I have dementia. I forget names, addresses where I put my glasses, but punchlines, those stick. Humor's stored differently, apparently. My neurologist loves that. His wife, Anne, 77, sits beside him, laughing. He's still charming, imaginary cats and all. Interviewer. Imaginary cats? Paul. Oh yes. Lewy body dementia gives me hallucinations. Visual ones mostly. Sometimes there's a tabby sitting on that chair. Points. Just watching me. I say, hello, cat. "You're not real, but you're polite, so you can stay." Anne thinks I'm mad. Anne: "I think he's adapting. The first time he saw things that weren't there, he was terrified. Now he's made peace with it. Last week he told an invisible bird, 'Sorry, we're out of seeds.' I thought, if he can laugh at this, so can I." Dr. Park: "Lewy body dementia involves abnormal protein deposits, alpha-synuclein, disrupting neurotransmitter systems, particularly dopamine. This causes Parkinson's-like motor symptoms, sleep disturbances, and visual hallucinations. Paul's humor isn't just personality, it's therapeutic. Laughter triggers dopamine and serotonin release, temporarily improving motor coordination and cognitive clarity. We're seeing measurable benefits." Interviewer: "How so?" Dr. Park: "Paul attends laughter therapy twice weekly. Afterward, his tremor decreases, his gait improves, and his cognitive testing scores rise slightly, temporarily but consistently. Laughter is neuroprotective. It reduces cortisol, increases endorphins, and activates the prefrontal cortex. Paul's instinct to joke his way through this? It's brilliant self-medication. Paul demonstrates. He stands, wobbling slightly, then starts laughing with Anne. His posture straightens noticeably. Paul: "See, when I laugh, my body cooperates better. If my brain's confused, I'll confuse it back, with joy. They say laughter's the best medicine. Turns out they're not entirely wrong, though I still take the actual medicine too. I'm not daft." Anne: "Well." Paul: "Oi." Paul: "Oi." Interviewer: "What do you want people to know about Lewy body dementia?" Paul: "That I'm still me. I see things that aren't there. I shuffle when I walk. Sometimes I act out dreams and punch Anne in my sleep. Sorry, love, but I'm still Paul. I still think, I still feel, and I still laugh. Don't pity us. Laugh with us. It helps more than you know." Nina's design: "We can't rebuild neurons, but we can rebuild belonging." Nina Patel, 38, architect, walks through a care home she redesigned. Nina: "Spaces shape cognition. This hallway? It used to be beige walls, fluorescent lights, identical doors. Residents wandered constantly, into wrong rooms, out exits. Staff called it confusion. I call it bad design." She points to renovations: soft-colored walls with high contrast, doors painted different colors with memory boxes beside them, lighting that dims at evening. Nina: "Now look, each door is a different color with a shadow box showing personal items, photos, objects from home. The brain recognizes patterns even when memory fails." Mrs. Chen finds her room by the red door with her teacup collection. Mr. Okafor knows his blue door with cricket photos. Wandering dropped by 60%. Interviewer: "What inspired this?" Nina: "My grandmother. I visited her in care and watched her walk into 3 wrong rooms, increasingly distressed. Every door looked the same, white, numbered. She couldn't process numbers anymore, but she remembered colors, objects, feelings. I thought, we're designing these places for staff convenience, not patient cognition. So I changed careers." Dr. Park, joining the tour: "Environmental design is undervalued medicine. The hippocampus creates cognitive maps, spatial understanding. In dementia, that system falters. But visual contrast, color coding, and personal landmarks provide external scaffolding. Nina's designs reduce anxiety because they compensate for failing internal navigation systems." Nina shows a bathroom with color-coded fixtures, blue toilet seat, yellow grab bars, red soap dispenser. Nina: "Color contrast helps with depth perception and object recognition." That blue toilet seat? It prevents falls because residents can see exactly where to sit. Before, white toilet on white floor, people misjudged distance. Small change, huge impact. She demonstrates circadian lighting that shifts from cool blue in morning to warm amber at evening. Nina. Dementia disrupts sleep-wake cycles. This lighting system mimics natural daylight patterns, supporting melatonin regulation. Better sleep means better cognition the next day. It's all connected. Interviewer. You also use scent? Nina. Yes, lavender in relaxation areas, citrus in activity spaces, baking smells near dining. Olfactory memory is powerful and surprisingly preserved. The smell of bread baking can trigger appetite in someone who's stopped eating. Lavender demonstrably reduces agitation. We're designing for all senses, not just sight. An elderly resident is shown painting at an easel, something he hadn't done in years. Nina. That's Mr. Harrison. Staff said he'd given up. But we added an art corner with good lighting, organized supplies, and his old paintings on the wall. One day, he picked up a brush. Now, he paints daily. It wasn't that he'd given up. His environment had. Nina's eyes fill with tears. Nina. We can't rebuild neurons, but we can rebuild belonging. We can make spaces that say, you matter, you're capable, you're safe. Architecture can be medicine. It should be. Dr. Park's insight. Patients aren't case studies. They're stories in progress. Dr. Elise Park in her research lab surrounded by brain scans and books. Dr. Park, 20 years studying neurodegeneration, and I'm still surprised. We used to think of dementia as a pure decline. Neurons die, function disappears, end of story. But the brain is stubborn. It adapts, reroutes, compensates. We call it neuroplasticity. Patients call it survival. Interviewer. Can you explain neuroplasticity in dementia? Dr. Park. The brain has about 86 billion neurons with trillions of connections. When disease damages one pathway, say the hippocampus that forms new memories, the brain recruits alternative networks. It's like a road closing and traffic finding new routes. Not perfect, but functional. Enrichment activities, learning, art, music, social connection actively promote this rewiring. She shows brain scans side by side. Dr. Park. This patient learned piano at age 75 after diagnosis. 6 months later, we saw increased connectivity in motor and auditory regions, areas that weren't previously engaged for memory tasks. The brain recruited them to compensate. It wasn't magic, it was network recruitment and cognitive reserve building. Interviewer. What's cognitive reserve? Dr. Park. Think of it as brain resilience, extra neural connections built through lifetime learning, social engagement, physical activity. Two people can have identical pathology on autopsy, but the person with higher cognitive reserve shows fewer symptoms during life. Their brain has more backup systems. This is why education, multilingualism, complex careers, and active social lives seem protective. You're building redundancy. She becomes more animated. Dr. Park, here's what excites me. Enrichment works even after diagnosis. A 70-year-old with early Alzheimer's who starts painting, learning language, or joining social groups, they're still building cognitive reserve. It won't stop the disease, but it may slow symptom progression. Every new experience is a potential new neural pathway. Interviewer. What should families prioritize? Dr. Park. Joy, seriously. Laughter, music, art, touch, nature. These activate more brain regions than any medication we currently have. Social isolation, by contrast, accelerates decline. Loneliness is neurotoxic. Connection is neuroprotective. I tell families, prioritize whatever makes your loved one light up. That lighting up? That's their brain activating. She shows her office wall where a quote is framed. Dr. Park. We can't cure memory loss yet, but we can cure loneliness. I wrote that after meeting Margaret, actually. She told me, I may forget yesterday, but I never forget that I'm loved. And I thought, that's it. That's the whole point. Belonging is medicine. Meaning is medicine. What gives you hope? Dr. Park. Every patient I meet. They're not case studies. They're stories in progress, still writing their lives even as disease tries to erase pages. That resilience? That's not denial. That's the human spirit doing what it does best, adapting. My job is to support that adaptation with every tool science offers, and to remind families, the person you love is still there. They're just speaking a different language now. Learn it. Together in memory. When one person forgets, another remembers for them. Memory Cafe, Thursday afternoon. About 20 people gathered, patients, caregivers, families, soft music plays, tea and cake on tables. Every Thursday, this community center hosts Memory Cafe. No medical appointments, no assessments, just connection. We spent an afternoon there. Margaret reads a short poem from her notebook. People listen, some nodding, some wiping tears. Margaret. And the robin looked cross but sang anyway. The end. Applause. Carlos picks up a tambourine, taps a rhythm. Others join, clapping, humming. Jenna, helping a new caregiver. First time. It's overwhelming, I know. Here, have tea. You don't have to talk. Just breathe. New caregiver. Crying. I don't know how to do this. He's my husband, but he doesn't recognize me anymore. Jenna, holding her hand. He recognizes love. Even if he can't name you, he feels you. I promise. Paul tells a joke to a small group who laugh. Paul, and the doctor says, "No, that's your elbow." Gets me every time. Nina quietly observes how people move through the space, noting what works. Nina, see how they cluster near the window? Natural light, and the round tables instead of rows? It encourages eye contact, conversation. Even the cups, bright colors, easy grip handles, every detail matters. Dr. Park sits in the corner, watching, smiling. Dr. Park, this is my favorite research site, though I'd never call it that to them. Social engagement increases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and dopamine. Both are neuroprotective. Belonging isn't soft science, it's neuroscience. Watch their faces. That's neural activation. What happens when someone becomes confused here? As if on cue, an elderly man stands disoriented. Man, I need to go home. Where's home? Immediately, 3 people gently approach, not correcting, just present. Woman, you're safe here, love. I'm Sarah. Would you like to sit with me? I've got biscuits. He sits. The moment passes. No alarm, no embarrassment. Jenna, to interviewer, when one person forgets, another remembers for them. That's the whole point. We're a collective memory here. You hold what I forget, I hold what you forget. Together, we're complete. Lucia and Carlos dance slowly to a bolero. Lucia, to camera while dancing. People ask if I'm sad. Sometimes yes, but look. Gestures to the room. We're not alone. That changes everything. The room hums with conversation, laughter, occasional tears, music. Emma sits with her mother Margaret, both watching the scene. Margaret, this is nice. Do we come here often? Emma, every Thursday, Mum. Margaret, then I must like it. I do like it. I can feel that I do. Emma, yes, Mum, you do. Young and old, patients and caregivers, all connected in this moment of shared humanity. Confusion happens, tears come, but so does laughter, music, and connection. For 2 hours every Thursday, everyone here feels a little less alone, and that, it turns out, is powerful medicine. What remains? Memory is not the measure of humanity. The human brain is a storyteller. It holds who we are in connections and emotions, not just facts and dates. Dementia may alter those pathways, but it doesn't erase the person. Margaret writing in her notebook by the window. Margaret, voiceover. Some mornings I wake and forget the world. Then I look out the window and remember the light. It remembers me back. Carlos and Lucia dancing in their kitchen. Carlos, voiceover, the music knows who I am. It tells me back to myself. Jenna tucking her mother into bed, then sitting alone with tea. Jenna, voiceover. Love isn't measured in memory, it's measured in moments, and we still have those. Paul laughing with Anne, then both sitting quietly holding hands. Paul, voiceover, I'm still here, still laughing, still loving her. That's not nothing. Nina standing in a care home corridor, watching residents move confidently through the space she designed. Nina, voiceover. We can't rebuild neurons, but we can rebuild belonging. And belonging is everything. Dr. Park in her lab, then at Memory Cafe, then with patients in clinic. Dr. Park, voiceover. Science tells us that even as memory fades, the networks of emotion, rhythm, and empathy remain resilient. We call it neuroplasticity. Patients call it life. Perhaps they're right. It's not about what's lost. It's about what remains and how we honor that. All participants gathered at Memory Cafe, a wide shot showing the community. Narrator. These voices teach us something science is only beginning to measure. Memory is not the measure of humanity. Presence is. Connection is. Love is. The capacity to feel joy, to give comfort, to share a moment. These persist when facts fade. They're written in different brain regions, stored in different ways, accessed through emotion and music and touch rather than words and dates. Margaret. I'm still collecting moments. Carlos. The music keeps me alive. Jenna. Both tears and laughter. Both are care. Paul. If my brain's confused, I'll confuse it back, with joy. Nina. Design can say, you matter, you're capable, you're safe. Dr. Park. Patients aren't case studies. They're stories in progress. The group at Memory Cafe. Laughter and conversation filling the space. Music, laughter, conversation, the clink of teacups. You are not alone. None of us are. In the end, perhaps that's the only thing worth remembering. Subscribe to channel. Mind over time for more inspiring stories and mental exercises that rejuvenate the soul. If you or someone you love is living with dementia, you are not alone. Create meaning. Keep laughing. Remain present. The person you love is still there.